interactive media design is a major known to at least some of you because you're whether or not you think, oh, that's where I'm headed, there's a lot to be gained by just kind of nourishing your curiosity about the place where we study and the people around you. So I'm going to ask you as folklorists as well as a good guest to, we're now going to kind of quiet the devices, dash them, stow them, and give undivided attention, what we've talked about as a listening discipline in folklore, to our guests today. And with that, I'm going to turn it over.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Abe Agnesan. I'm one of the core IMD faculty members. And these are two current IMD senior students.
Hi, I'm Ruth.
Hello, I'm Julian. So today we're just going to give you kind of an overview of the program and give you an opportunity to ask us any questions you might have, both questions you might have for me, but also questions you might have for current students. And Julian and Rue are also going to say a few words about their experience of the program as students. Hopefully Sarah McDermott, who's the IMD academic advisor, will be joining us in a little bit. These are her slides, and I'm just gonna run through them as a start to give you an overview of the program. So the program was started in the fall of 2013. It's a Bachelor of Arts. And the big thing about the IMD program that is really wonderful is that it's a cohort model. So you have to apply into the program, and then the students that are accepted all start together in autumn quarter. And it's a group of 32. And you're going to be with that group of 32 students for the 2 years of the program, taking not every class together, but taking the required credits together. And we'll walk through those. And the program is co-administered by IAS and the School of STEM. So lockstep just means that you're taking all these courses together in a sequence. And what's really wonderful about that is there's a real sense of community in the IMD program. You get to know your fellow students really, really well because a lot of the work that you do is project-based collaborative work, just like you would in the real world if you went out and became an interactive media designer. So we're really trying to model sort of industry. You guys should jump in if there's anything you'd like to add. Yeah, so the number of credits you take all together in the cohort is 55 credits. And for that reason, IMD core classes are only offered once a year because of the sequence. So these are some of the sort of keywords in IMD that are really, really important to us. We are a program that really prioritizes or emphasizes social justice as a framework through which to think about interactive media design. Technology, obviously, our students are making iOS apps, they're creating augmented reality experiences, they might be creating virtual reality experiences. Art is also something that is emphasized in the program. 2 of the core IMD faculty members are working artists, including myself. And so we're bringing our experience in the arts to the program. And this year, for example, 2 of the senior capstone projects are actually art projects, which is very exciting. And then, as I mentioned earlier, group work and collaboration are really, really central. Okay, so here's a little bit of, I'm not going to necessarily go over this all in detail, and Sarah is really the expert on all this stuff, but there are some prerequisites that you need. Oh, there she is. Do you want to jump in and explain this?
I can, if you want me to.
I think, yeah, why don't you, because I think you'd be better at it, and then I can jump in.
Perfect, okay.
After.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm the IMD academic advisor. Sorry, I'm a few minutes late. Thank you. So IMD prerequisites. So if you're interested in doing the IMD program, students need English composition. So there's 4 prerequisite classes. Students need English composition, interactive media design thinking, and you can choose any of those 3 courses. The most common one is IMD 250, which Abe teaches. Web development and programming, IMD 233 is the only option, and then statistics. So I would recommend, if you're interested, talk to a pre-major advisor. Programming 1, if you have programming experience, is a good option too, to take a Programming 1 class. If you don't have any programming experience, taking CSS 107, I think it's animated storytelling, is a good potential class to take if you're new to the programming. But these are all really good options of classes, and my information is at the end of the slide too. If you have any specific questions, I'm very happy to answer those. But students need a 2.0 or higher in each of those prerequisites classes to be in the program. To be competitive, students generally tend to have around a 3.3 or higher overall GPA. But if you are a student that has gotten a 2.0 in a class and you've gotten above 2.0 in your other classes, I can still encourage you to apply. So.
Sure, the next one.
Yeah. Any questions actually about that? Yeah.
Can you say the storytelling one again?
Yeah, it's CSS 107. I can't remember. I think it's like animated storytelling. That's a good like first time class if you haven't done a Programming 1 class yet. So yeah, good question. Anybody else? So these are just some job market. Sometimes students are like, what can I do with an IMD degree? We've looked at what IMD graduates, what kind of degree, jobs they have received, and there's a whole fluctuation of jobs. Students can do a wide range of work. Some of our most common ones are listed here, such as user experience designer, program manager, product designer, visual data specialist, graphic designer, technology analyst, web developer, project coordinator. It's not limited just to these specific fields. One of the beauties of IMD is it's a pretty broad degree, and so students, when they're in the program, can take opportunities to really hone in on skills they want to develop. And they can do that through group work, taking lead roles in group projects, doing more CSS if students want to do more programming, or more design if students want to do more designing. And then the other thing is that there's opportunities to do independent studies with faculty members. And so there's a lot of great opportunity, and there's a skill set you really want to learn and try to achieve to get to a certain type of job. That's an option. So there's many more jobs that students have gotten with their IMD degree, but
And just to piggyback on what Sarah was saying, one of those independent study projects that I'm working on this year with 7 interactive media design students, Julian is one of those, we're building an augmented reality storytelling platform in order to explore issues of urban growth, gentrification, and displacement in historically marginalized neighborhoods in Seattle. And that's been a really exciting project, and we're sort of figuring it out as we go, and we're building this crazy thing, and I don't know, it's been pretty fun so far. So I think we should let the students speak a little bit about their experiences, and then actually let me show an example of a student project, which I have pulled up here, and then we can let the students speak. So this is, this is one of the capstone projects from last year. So just to give you a sense, there's a lot of variety and diversity in what the capstone projects can be. So this is just one example, but it'll give you a taste. So that just gives you a little bit of a sense, and the students both created a prototype of the app for Android phones and edited and created and produced a video sort of giving a preview of that project. Take it away, guys.
Okay, so something that's really great about the Interactive Media Design program is that it is a huge, it's kind of like an umbrella that covers a whole bunch of different things that people can be. And so Rue and I are a really great example of that. Rue is a really great designer. She's really great with visual design, and we'll probably hopefully go into that further in the future. And as for me, I enjoyed the development of it, and so it's really cool to be able to work on projects with Rue. Rue and I are currently in our capstone project together, and we get to sit down and we get to design and then build the things that we think are really, really cool and fun. And because IMD program is so diverse with the kinds of students that are coming into it, some people with a coding background, people with project management background and design backgrounds, you're able to learn on each other and bounce off of ideas, and it's really great to be able to just learn as you work with students. Anything else?
Can you just talk a little bit about the sort of community and cohort model?
Oh, yeah.
How it works?
Oh yeah, so for better or for worse, it is a community-based model, and I personally love it because you get to know every single student in the classroom, and you build a really tight bond and friendship with each one of them, and you know it's great. Like what I said before, you're able to just learn from each other, and I don't know what else to say about it. It's like you're just stuck in the same classroom for like ever. And like, I don't know.
It's intense. It's sort of an intense bonding experience. You want to add to that?
You go through like a lot of like stressful projects together. A lot of the projects in IMD are team-based, so you really get to know the people and you like really interact with them, and it's really great because then you're not just like being paired up with strangers every single time, but at the same time you're getting to know everyone. And again, like Julian said, like because everyone comes from like so many different backgrounds. You kind of get to touch many different aspects of a project. Like for example, I hate coding, but now I know a lot about coding than I used to, more than I used to, because you know, like you're still learning those aspects even if that's not your main focus. And I think that's what's really great about IMD because it's not just like specializing you in like one very specific field, and so you're like limiting yourself to it. You get a well-rounded background knowledge on a lot of different fields, and so like depending on like where you want to go in your career path, it opens up a lot of different ways for you to get there.
Rue, could you talk a little bit about sort of internships and your own sort of career trajectory and aspirations?
So currently I am interning at T-Mobile as an associate designer. And it's been an awesome experience. With IMD, since you get to meet so many different faculty from many different backgrounds, like they come from art backgrounds, coding backgrounds, just game design backgrounds, like Wanda, and it's just so cool because they can get you, you know, connections and like network you to like different colleagues and stuff that they've worked with in the past, and connect you to different people. And again, like you're not limited to one specific field, so you have a lot of different options that you can explore. So not only like can you look at internships in the STEM department, you can also look in like IES or art. It just all depends on like where you want to focus. And there's so many opportunities available, and there's constantly people that you're meeting that will introduce you to many different areas that you might want to pursue.
Great. Do you have questions for us, or any of us? Yeah.
You mentioned an augmented reality project. I was wondering, what's the difference between augmented reality and virtual reality?
That's a great question. So augmented reality is when you are looking at the world around you through the phone, through the camera in your device, and on top of the world around you gets superimposed information. or, it could be anything. So for example, what we're doing in the independent study project is we're taking, show you an example of this kind of thing. So we're sort of modeling our project off of this project in Chicago, and you can see what they've done. Just give the lights here. Is that you look through your device and you see the scene around you, but superimposed on that scene is a historical photograph of the way it looked 100 years ago, or whatever it might be. So that's an example of augmented reality. You aren't leaving the world around you, you're adding information on top of it. Virtual reality is where you have a headset, you can't see anything outside of the headset, and the headset takes you to a whole sort of new world. Does that make sense?
Adding on to that, I think one of my favorite things about IMD is that you're not limiting yourself to the technology that's still available. The faculty really encourages you to think outside the box and think about the kind of technology that's still not available, but could be in the future and what we could do with it. And just really think about technology that's at the forefront of development and just on the cusp of being made, and forces us to develop really new and creative ideas rather than limiting us into a small box of what's strictly available and what can only be done right now.
Right. Yeah, and that's called speculative design. So you could create a capstone experience that imagines a world 15 years in the future and creates a whole sort of fictional sort of scenario around that. Yeah.
Yeah, so you guys are not just limited to just doing AR, VR apps. You're more about, you guys can do more broader projects, different technologies, right?
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of freedom with the capstone projects. So there's a capstone experience in the second year. It's sort of a year-long project that students work on in the same teams over the whole year. And that was the video that I showed you. That was one team's capstone from last year. And so there's a lot of freedom in the capstones to develop projects. Do you guys want to talk a bit about your capstone idea?
Sure. I won't divulge specifics because you're element surprise. But for our project, we're currently in the middle of figuring out how to use Arduinos, motion sensors, connecting that to lighting, having it be an interactive experience. But at the same time, it's an art installation, so it's a walkthrough experience that you experience in the real world. But it's affected by the people that are experiencing it, and they can just change it and see how it works. We're basing it around light pollution. So just, yeah.
You already covered it all. So that's the thing about IMD. We actually never touched Arduinos or light sensors in classes before. And so something really big with IMD is that if you want to do something that you're really passionate about, you need to learn it outside of class. And so for our group, a lot of us are sitting down and researching online how to use all these new technologies we've never touched before. And this allows us to then imagine and let us, think and design new ways to be able to get the experience we want to portray to the people who want to experience our exhibit.
I'll just add, even though Julian and the rest of the team haven't had training in Arduino, which is a little microcomputer that you can hook sensors up to, they were trained in the fundamentals of computer programming, which is going to make using the Arduino much easier than it would have. So it's sort of we try to give you some foundational skills that you can then apply to teaching yourselves new skills. Other questions? Yeah.
Is the Digital Future Labs associated with IMD?
That's a great question. We are, so a lot of interactive media design students work at the DFL or intern at the DFL, so there is kind of a strong relationship in that sense. And we're currently working on developing a partnership with the DFL that would allow students to do DFL-related activities for their capstones. That hasn't been completely figured out yet, but we are working on that. And so, depending on how things go, that might start to be possible next year. I'm not 100% sure, yeah.
Would you also know if the DFL takes volunteers?
I can talk a bit more.
Yeah.
I used to intern at the DFL, and it's like an internship position, and so it's not really like a volunteering thing. Like you have to apply to get in, but it's not like a paid internship. But it's definitely a really good experience. We really work with you. I would suggest reaching out to either Ina Braxton or Jason Pace, who are the the coordinators for the DFL. And I can, if you want more information about it, I can also like talk to you a bit more. But it's a really good, cool opportunity to check out that's on campus, and they work a lot with like game development and stuff. And there's a lot of different roles that are available that you can apply for, such as project management, level design, sound development, and there's also user
Character
testing.
Character development?
Yeah, I think it's in level design, but there's also like different art aspects to it, but also like coding aspects to it. I know though that for the coding portion of it, you need to have taken certain like prerequisites courses to be able to apply for that. And also they put a big emphasis on looking at your portfolio and different projects that you've worked on to see what kind of skill sets you have. So if you don't have one, I would highly suggest building a portfolio. And if IMD is something that you're interested in, you're going to require a portfolio anyways. So start documenting your projects if this is something that you're interested in.
Other questions? Yeah?
In one of your early slides, there's a reference to the social justice emphasis within IMD. And I'd be especially interested to hear examples and better, if you have examples of how projects that you've been a part of or studied have made experiences more inclusive or accessible.
Yeah, absolutely. I can speak a little bit to that. So the social justice framework comes through in a number of ways. In the classes, we do readings and discuss projects that are sort of social justice oriented to expose students to the ways in which interactive media technologies can be used for social justice oriented issues or to address social justice oriented issues, and also to show students that too often technology actually amplifies existing forms of power and oppression. And so we try to teach our students that we should try to disrupt those, right? Technology can and often does simply reinforce existing systems of oppression. So a couple of particular student projects that are coming to mind right now. Last quarter, one of the IMD juniors created a choose your own adventure style iOS app. And it was called Rape Culture. And it was about rape culture and the experience of being a survivor of sexual assault. Very intense and moving project. The video I showed you, which was a collaboration with the Arboretum, was trying to think about climate change and biodiversity and educating people about those issues. You guys have anything to add?
Yeah, one of the projects that I worked on was about autism awareness, and it was a combination of speculative design and creating an actual app to go along with it. So for the speculative design part, we had to design an installation which would be kind of like in a 3D holographic kind of space, and it would be interactive. So you can learn more about what autism is and to kind of just get rid of those misconceptions about it. And the application was supposed to be like an additional add-on to it to help you kind of follow up with it and get more information beyond the installation. Another thing that we worked on was last year. My group worked with the City of Bellevue to do a website redesign for them, and so we were thinking a lot about how to make it more accessible for people with disabilities and stuff. And we noticed that the resources for people with disabilities, especially for the reading impaired and just stuff like that, were all the way at the bottom of the page, and it was a really long page. And so we were basically like addressing how to make this more accessible for people, how to make this more easily able to like navigate through, and just things like that. And also like for people who speak different languages, like how are we going to cater to them? And so we think a lot about like how to make the world a better place with our creations, and that's like at the forefront of what we do. Like from the very beginning, we're always thinking about like, okay, what issue do we want to focus on? What are we passionate about? And how do we want to improve it? And just creating goals and trying to solve an issue through that. And that's, I think, my favorite part about IMD, because it's, you know, you're working towards making a positive difference in the community, even if it's at a small scale. You're still working towards it.
I think AMCWB is, I think we're up and running.
I know.
John is actually also, are you doing the ASCWB?
Yeah, IMD is great. I love that.
John is as well, so. Thank you for your attention, everybody, and we'll let John take it away from here. And I hope to see you, seeing some applications from you in the program soon.